Yo, what's up, guys? It's Noah here, breaking down the NBA slate on Draftkings and Yahoo for Tuesday, December the 31st. We got a 4-game slate for Tuesday for New Year's Eve. We're going to break down this 4-gamer position by position. I'll talk about the plays that stand out to me the most just looking at this slate the night before. Recording this video on Monday night, so these are just some of my early thoughts. There are a lot of injuries we're going to need to watch heading into Tuesday, specifically Luka Doncic and James Harden. Both of them are questionable heading into this slate. We know both these guys are like two of the highest usage players in the league. I mean, these are going to be two injuries that just change everything. Like if both these guys are out, that's just going to change up the whole slate. I'll try and tell you guys how I'm approaching this slate. If these guys are in, if they're out, who do I like? I'll be sure to break all that down in this video. Just before we do get started though, guys, as always, would appreciate it if you would drop a like down below. Subscribe to the channel if you have not yet. You can click that notification bell so that way you get notified every time I upload. You'll never miss a new video. Also, if you haven't yet, you can follow me on Twitter. I'm very active over on Twitter. Would appreciate it if you would give me a follow over there at DFS by Noah. Also, you can check out all the exclusive content I have available on Patreon. I do post NBA content over there Monday through Friday. I also have NFL content going up throughout the week that I upload or that I post later on in the week. All my NBA content will be Monday through Friday. I'll have an article that I write, pretty much like it's usually 8 to 10 pages depending on how many games there are. 8 to 10 page long article breaking down all my favorite plays. I do provide updates to that article, so as injury news breaks, I'll provide updates there. I give updated core plays over on Patreon. I also make a roster construction video where I talk through how we should be looking to build out our lineups. I upload that video usually around 4:30 in the afternoon. So if you want to get access to all the content I have on Patreon, if you want to be able to join our Discord chat where we're in there talking DFS throughout the day, I'm up in there answering questions up until lock. You can check all that out, link down below, patreon.com/DFS by Noah. But yeah, let's go ahead and start off at point guard for today. So at the top, we do have Harden and Luka, both at the top of this position. Obviously, both these guys are questionable heading into Tuesday. I think one thing that really stands out on DraftKings is that Harden is 10,500. Like, I don't know if Harden has been this cheap all season. Like, at least just in his last 10 games, he hasn't been 10,500. We've seen it this season. Whenever guys get injured, like, their price just plummets on DraftKings for literally no reason. Like, if Harden plays today, and if he's full go, which I imagine he will be if he plays, like, he's probably my favorite play on the slate at 10,500. Like, James Harden should never be 10,500. I know this season he's averaging like 1.5 or 1.6 fantasy points per minute. We can just look at the usage real quick. Obviously, if he's out, we will talk about Russell Westbrook, who I like a ton. But this season, in 1,205 minutes that Harden has played, 38% usage rate, averaging 1.63 fantasy points per minute with a 36% assist percentage. Like, we're going to get probably 36 to 38 minutes from Harden today if he plays. 10.5, too cheap on DraftKings. He'd be one of my favorite plays on the slate. But not knowing if he's going to play or not, I don't want to include him in the core. So I do like going to Russell Westbrook. Obviously, Russell Westbrook is going to be a top play today if Harden is out. That'll be news we'll just have to wait and see on. I like Westbrook a lot on Yahoo as well at $46. This slate, it has decent like stud options. We have Harden, we have Doncic, Westbrook, Jokic, Lowry, Porzingis. But like not the elite studs. I mean, we do have Harden and Doncic or Luka, who are two elite studs, but like no Giannis, no LeBron, no AD. None of those guys, no like Andre Drummond, none of those guys that we consider most nights. And obviously, if Harden and Luka are both out, then I mean that just really like takes away a lot of the stud options. You're honestly going to have like so much value. It's going to be hard to pay up because there's just going to be so much value, and there's not going to be many guys to pay up for. Right now, Westbrook is one of my favorite guys to pay up for, especially if Harden's out. If Harden plays, I do prefer to get up to Harden, and I think it'll be pretty easy to get up to Harden, especially on DraftKings. I prefer Harden. But we can look at Westbrook's numbers this season with Harden off the floor. I imagine he sees a big increase in his usage. I'm sure he's way more productive with Harden off the floor. So Westbrook's played 270 minutes this season with Harden off the floor. 41% usage rate, averaging 1.68 fantasy points per minute with a 53% assist percentage and a 10.8% rebound percentage. Westbrook's going to be a top play for me if Harden's out. If Harden plays, like I said, just prefer Harden. It's kind of just a wait and see there. Honestly, I think you can play both guys, though. Like, it's not like Westbrook's a bad play if Harden is in. Just when you factor in that Harden's only $900 more, he's much better and projects much better. We'll just kind of have to wait and see, though, with this injury news. Like, if Luka is out and then Harden plays, I could totally see making lineups with Harden and Westbrook together just because those are like the only other stud options we have. Obviously, if Luka's out, that's going to make Porzingis like a top stud option. If Luka plays, though, I really like him as well. I do prefer Harden if he's in, though. I prefer Harden for cheaper. On Yahoo, where Harden is $2 more than Luka, I think I'd still prefer Harden over there as well. Like, it's so hard to like break this down because we just don't know with these guys. But just assuming both play today, Harden's my favorite guy to go to. Then I would prefer like Westbrook. And then you could get to Luka. There's going to be a lot of value today, though, so you might be able to get all three into your lineup. I think you can actually probably make it work on this slate with all the value that we have from the Warriors. But other point guards we could look to, I do want to talk about Fred VanVleet over on Yahoo. I think he remains underpriced over there. Only $31 at shooting guard. He does look like one of the better shooting guard options. Just with Norman Powell off the floor, no Pascal Siakam, no Marc Gasol as well. We're seeing guys like Fred VanVleet, Kyle Lowry play huge minutes. These guys are getting 36, 38 minutes a night. Just in his last 3 games, or last 4 games, VanVleet has played at least 36 minutes in 4 straight games. He's been very productive as well with at least 37 fantasy points in 4 straight games. It's a really good matchup against Cleveland. I think with how injury depleted the Raptors are right now, the chance of them blowing out Cleveland is a little bit less likely. Obviously, they still could, especially because this game's being played in Toronto. But I don't really predict blowouts. Like we saw freaking on Monday night, the Heat got blown out by the Wizards who were without Bradley Beal. Like, blowouts are just so hard to predict. Teams could be 11-point underdogs and win by 20. Teams could be 11-point favorites and lose by 20. Like, you just never know in the NBA. So I just go in, I play games like they're all going to be competitive. So I'm assuming this game stays close, which makes me have a lot of interest in VanVleet at $31 on Yahoo. I think at $8,400 on DraftKings, like more of a secondary option. Definitely wouldn't consider him like a core play today. D'Angelo Russell, though, is a big injury that we got at this position. He's going to be out today. We know Steph Curry's obviously going to be out as well. That will impact some plays that I like at point guard that we'll talk about in a second. But just like in the 6K range, you got Jamal Murray at home on the road against Houston for $6,800. I think he's a fine tournament option. He's definitely not a core play for me, but the upside's there. Pace up spot against the Rockets. This is definitely a team you can beat with like a scoring guard like Jamal Murray. He can have a lot of success against Houston. So I find going him at $6,800. But the guy that really stands out at point guard on DraftKings is Draymond Green. $6,100, you can play him at point guard or small forward, which is very appealing. Over on Yahoo, he's actually power forward, but I still think he's a top play over there as well at $23. So with no Steph Curry, with no D'Angelo Russell, I expect Draymond Green is probably going to be the primary ball handler. I think it's likely we see him start at point guard. If not, we'll probably see like Kai Bowman start at point guard, but we know that Draymond's going to handle the ball a ton regardless. I mean, he's playing pretty big minutes in competitive games. Like, they said they were going to limit his minutes, but that just hasn't been the case. He's getting 32 to 34 minutes in close games as of late. Only reason he played 27 minutes against Dallas was because they lost by 20 in that game. He played 34 minutes the last time they faced the Spurs this season. I imagine that was a close game as well. I mean, this is definitely a Spurs team you can attack. Like, they're not nearly as good defensively as people think they are. We can look at defensive rating this season. I know they're like bottom 10 in the league. The Spurs ranked 20th in defensive rating, so I mean, it's definitely a team you can attack in terms of like guys against because they're not that good defensively. They're 12th in pace as well. Both these teams are 12th and 15th in pace. We could see a relatively high-scoring game here. I mean, right now this is the only game on the slate that has a line set, and we got a 220 total in this game with a 9-point spread. Like, I really like Draymond here. I think there's triple-double upside for him if this game can stay close. I think the assists are definitely there. With no Curry, no Russell. Also, we know that Willie Cauley-Stein's going to be out along with Kevon Looney, so we could definitely see Draymond playing a lot, like possibly at center, where I would expect he's much more productive in terms of rebounds. Like, I probably need to pull up the Warriors' usage this season with all those guys off the floor. So we know Curry's going to be out. We know Russell's going to be out. Willie Cauley-Stein going to be out as well. Kevon Looney not going to play this game. There's some other guys like that are questionable. I think Pascal. I don't think Pascal's questionable. I think he's actually probable. But Bowman's questionable. We'll need to watch that. But let's just run the numbers with these 4 guys off the floor this season. Draymond averaging 1 fantasy point per minute. Only 91 minutes play with those 4 guys off the floor, but averaging a fantasy point per minute with a 28% assist percentage, 14% total rebound percentage. That 14% total rebound percentage is, I guess when you consider minutes played, it's probably like 3rd highest on the team behind Marquise Chris and behind Amari Spellman. So I do like Draymond here, especially if he gets like 32, 34 minutes. He projects pretty well for a $6,100 salary. I think the opportunity is going to be there for him with like all these guys out for the Warriors today. The Warriors are definitely going to be a team we want to target today with all the value they're going to present us with. So really like Draymond. I think you can also go to Alec Burks as well. I think Alec Burks is a very strong option at 5,300. I was going to include him in the 5 plays, but I figured I'd kind of do it or kind of like put it together differently. But Burks you can consider at 5,300. I like him on Yahoo as well. He's at shooting guard. He's $21. You can definitely play him over there. You can play Damian Lee as well. I mean, I think I'm probably going to be targeting multiple guys from the Warriors today. Like, they're just really injury depleted. I'll pull up their roster from DraftKings. So no Curry, no Russell, no Cauley-Stein, no Looney. The healthy bodies for the Warriors today, they're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, potentially 6, potentially 7, 8. I would say they're probably going to have like 9, 10 guys that they actually like give minutes to, if that. Like guys like Jacob Evans, Jordan Poole, like I don't see them getting many minutes. So we could potentially see them run like an 8 or 9 man rotation today. We're going to see the starters get pretty big minutes. You're going to see guys coming off the bench, maybe like Pascal or Bowman. If Bowman comes off the bench, like he should be in line for pretty big minutes. Just a lot of value from this team. And obviously I really like Draymond, really like Burks. You can also target Damian Lee, but he's a shooting guard. We'll talk more about him there. With the Harden injury, we're going to have to watch that. If Harden's out, Austin Rivers, 4,500 becomes a really good play. Chris Clemens as well for 4K. Even with Luka questionable, we'll need to watch that. With Luka potentially out today, Jalen Brunson would become a top value play at 3,600 if Luka's ultimately ruled out. Not knowing the status of Luka, though, I don't want to include any of those guys into the 5 plays. So I do like Kai Bowman as kind of like a first-look value. 3,100 on DraftKings. He is questionable heading into this game, so I mean, I guess he's questionable as well. Like, there's just a lot of guys questionable today. Bowman is questionable with an illness. He did not practice on Monday. So Bowman, just the last 4 games, he's been getting about 22 to 24 minutes off the bench. Now with D'Angelo Russell out, I think it's possible we get 28 to 30 minutes from Bowman. If he starts, I think it's possible that he plays like 32 to 34 minutes. We've seen with Russell out this season, they will start Bowman at point guard at times. And DraftKings didn't adjust his price at all. He's only 3,100 on DK. I mean, he looks like one of the best value plays on the slate, at least as of now. Obviously, if Luka and Harden are out, that's going to open up more value, probably better value. They would project better. But I like Bowman quite a bit as of now. Even if he comes off the bench, I think it's possible he plays close to 30 minutes. This season, with all 4 of those guys off the floor, I mean, he doesn't have great numbers, only averaging about 0.75 fantasy points per minute, but he's 3,100 on DraftKings. It's really hard for him to kill you at that salary. So let's go ahead and move over to shooting guard. At this position, just looking at guys I haven't talked about yet, really not much here other than guys I've already talked about. Like I think DeMar DeRozan's a fine play, 7,100. I don't think he's going to be a core play for me today, though. On Yahoo at small forward, where he's $30, I think he's probably one of the best small forward plays. And just looking at the small forward position, really not much to like, so definitely going to probably prioritize paying up for DeRozan there. But other shooting guards, Damian Lee, I do like quite a bit here, especially with no Russell. Just going to see more usage, more shot opportunities. Limited sample size this season, but in 183 minutes with all those guys off the floor, Curry, Looney, Russell, Cauley-Stein, 20% usage rate, averaging 0.9 fantasy points per minute, 14% assist percentage, 8% rebound percentage. Pretty much decent numbers, but Lee's definitely been playing better as of late, been much more productive. We're seeing him play huge minutes as well, 34, 36 minutes the last 2 games, 38, 34 DK points. Like, he's rebounding a ton right now. You can definitely consider Damian Lee, even with the price tag up, especially with Russell out. I think that does help him. I do like him quite a bit on both sides. But for cheap plays, Alec Burks I talked about, I really like as a value for 5,300. Eric Gordon would be a really good value if Harden's out. Austin Rivers would be a really good value if Harden's out. Chris Clemens, you can't play here, but he would be a good value as well. I think Glenn Robinson you can also target for 4,400. You can play Jalen Brunson here, who would become a top value if Luka is out. So yeah, just a lot of potential values at shooting guard we're just going to have to wait and see on. Definitely feel like it's going to be a position I'd probably pay down at if we do get these guys out today, if Luka and Harden are out today. But moving over to small forward, talked about DeRozan. I think he's probably one of the better pay-up options at the position just because, especially on Yahoo, because you have to play at least one small forward there. And there just really isn't much that stands out as small forward. So probably just going to be prioritizing paying up for DeRozan. You kind of have to just because there's no other good options that you feel great about. Eric Gordon, though, at 14, I would actually probably consider the best small forward play, only if Harden is out. But DeRozan's a fine option. Probably just going to have to play him because there's really no other options at the position that really catch your eye that are really good. I mean, it depends on what we get with this injury news. Like, obviously, if Harden's out, then Eric Gordon would probably be the top small forward value play. But like Lee, you can play here, who I talked about, I like quite a bit. OG's really cheap, but even on this slate, I don't think I'm going to be prioritizing going to him. Like, small forward really sucks today. There's not a lot that stands out. It's kind of one of those positions we'll just kind of have to wait and see. If Harden's out, Gordon's probably my top small forward. If Harden plays, I'm probably just going to go to one of the Warriors guys, whether it's Damian Lee or Draymond, or just pay up for DeMar DeRozan. So yeah, let's go ahead and move over to power forward, excuse me. Now looking at power forward, Kristaps Porzingis, definitely want to talk about him. So if Luka is out today, I love Porzingis at 7,800. He's one of the best pay-up options on the slate. If Luka plays, I have no interest in Porzingis at that salary. Serge Ibaka has seen his price come down a little bit, 7,300 on DK. I think he's like $27 on Yahoo. I do like Ibaka quite a bit with his price coming down. I think it's going to be pretty easy to get to him with all the value we're going to have today. Isaiah Hartenstein, we did see start last game with Clint Capella out. He played 34 minutes, had 39 Draftkings points. I imagine if Capella is out again, we're going to see Hartenstein probably start again. He's still reasonably priced on DK. I mean, 5,400, like, that's not a bad price for Hartenstein. He's been a productive player this season when given minutes. Like, he can average a fantasy point per minute. Against Jokic, they're going to need a big body out there. I know Hartenstein is $10 on Yahoo, so definitely looks like one of the better value plays on the slate. We'll just kind of have to wait and see what happens with Clint Capella. But I do want to talk about Jeremy Grant. So we do know that Paul Millsap is going to be out today. That's some news we already got. I expect Jeremy Grant starts at power forward today. DraftKings did price him up to 4,600, but over on Yahoo, he's only $10 over on Yahoo minimum salary. I think that's where he really stands out. Now, if Clint Capella is out, I do prefer Hartenstein for $10. Hartenstein is also the same salary, and he is also power forward, so I'd rather play him over Grant. Honestly, though, I could see playing both guys in the same lineup. Just give yourself all that value. But Grant's been a productive player as well this season when given the minutes. I mean, he played 33 minutes last game against the Kings. He did get the start in that game for Millsap, had 27 fantasy points. This is a really good matchup against the Rockets. They do play at a fast pace. This is a pace-up spot for the Nuggets. Rockets are third in pace this season. I know they have struggled just in terms of like DVP. They have struggled to power forwards. So it's a pretty good DVP matchup for Grant as well. Just the minutes are going to be there, especially on Yahoo where the price tag hasn't adjusted. Like, he should not be a $10 player when he's starting. So I like him a ton over there. And I think at 4,600 on DK, he's still in play for me, just not as much of a core value. Only reason he's not a core value is because we do have Marquise Chris at 4,100, who is definitely a core value today. So we got word that Kevon Looney and Willie Cauley-Stein are both going to be out for the Warriors today. I think it's possible that Marquise Chris moves into the starting lineup and starts at center for this game. With with Looney also out. Looney was the guy that started, I think there was a game earlier this season when Willie Cauley-Stein was out and they actually started Kevon Looney. Well, obviously they're not going to have the chance to do that now that Looney's out as well. So it's either going to be they start Draymond at center, they start Marquise Chris, or they start, Amari Spellman could be the other option. I'm expecting it to be Chris, and if that's the case, Marquise Chris starting at 4,100 on DK, power forward and center eligible, which is really appealing. He's $10 on Yahoo, and although you have to play him at center, still think he's one of the top value plays on the slate, especially if we're going to get 26 to 28 minutes from Chris. Just this season with all four of Curry, Looney, Russell, and WCS off the floor, Marquise Chris averaging 1.11 fantasy points per minute, 20% usage rate, 19% assist percentage, 17% total rebound percentage. He's been a productive player when given the minutes. He might not be a great overall basketball player, but for fantasy, he can score, he can rebound, he can block shots. He's got upside when he gets the minutes. 27 DK points in 17 minutes, 42 DK points in 23 minutes, 36 DK points in 24 minutes. He's one of the top value plays today. It's really hard to get away from him. He's going to be chalky, but I think that's kind of just chalk that you eat, especially if he starts. If he starts, I just feel much better that he plays, or I feel much better that he gets the minutes. Even coming off the bench, they really have no other bigs, so I'd still expect him to get pretty good minutes even off the bench. So love Chris. I think Pascal could maybe start. Like, we could see them start Pascal at like power forward and then shift Draymond to center. If that were to be the case, I would really like Pascal. Good news is that we have 3 games at 7 o'clock today, and then the last game of the night is at 8 o'clock. So we're pretty much going to have all the injury news before lock, especially like with these 3 7 o'clock games. We'll know who's starting for the Warriors before 7. We'll know if Harden's in. We probably should know if Luka plays as well. Good thing we have like all the games starting early, so we'll pretty much have all the news we need. If Pascal starts, I would really like him at only 3,400, so that's just going to have to be a wait and see. But for now, I'm assuming Chris starts at center, so I'm going to go ahead and plug him in as the value that I like there. But moving on to the center position, I think Jokic is one of the top pay-up options, at least as of now on the slate, just with the uncertainty of Luka and with Harden. Obviously, if those guys play, those are going to be the guys I probably prioritize, especially given all the value we have, and it should be easy to get them in. But right now, I'm fine paying up for Westbrook and Jokic as the 2 stud options. Jokic 9,300 here against the Rockets, like, especially if Clint Capella misses, like, he should be able to dominate in this matchup. It's going to be either like Hartenstein or Gary Clark defending Jokic, and those are matchups that Jokic can easily win. For what it's worth, he was able to have success against Capella earlier this season. 47 Draftkings points in 32 minutes. Jokic been much better as of late in terms of fantasy. Like, I know he was pretty bad in that game against the Kings, but before that, 65, 45, 59 DK points. Jokic, I'm pretty sure he still leads the team in usage. If not, he's like second behind Jamal Murray. He's still been a very productive player this season. He can still contribute in all categories. He's got triple-double upside. Pace-up matchup against the Rockets. Really like Jokic as a top stud today. On Yahoo, I think he's one of the better options to pay up for as well at $42. But obviously, like I've said multiple times, if Harden's in, if Doncic are in, those are the 2 guys I'm going to just be prioritizing getting into my lineups, especially Harden on DraftKings. Harden's price on DK is just laughable today. I don't know why he's so cheap. But other centers we could look to, I'll love Porzingis if Luka's out. I've said that as well. Porzingis will be a top play for me if Luka's out. If Capella plays at 7,400, I think he's a little bit too cheap today. Ibaka, I think, is a little bit underpriced as well. I do like both those guys in the 7K range. Hartenstein, I'm going to have interest in. If Capella's out, he'll become a really good play. Jeremy Grant, you can play at center, who I like. He should start at power forward today for Paul Millsap. He's a pretty good value. But really, that's probably it for center value plays. You can play Marquise Chris at center as well. So yeah, I think we covered everything for this 4-game slate, guys. Definitely one of the more like wait-and-see kind of slates. We're going to need some starting lineups. We're going to need some injury updates with Luka, with Harden, with Clint Capella. We're going to need some word on these guys before we can really dive too deep into the slate, before we can really start like constructing our lineups and seeing how we want to build out our lineups. If you guys want to get all my updated content, get all my updated thoughts on the slate, especially after we do get this injury news, how I'm approaching the slate, you can check out my Patreon. You can see my updated core plays over there. You can get access to my article where I write up the whole slate, talk about all my favorite plays. It's usually 8 to 10 pages long. I post that in the afternoon. Also in the afternoon, I do post my roster construction video. I usually record that about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, talk through how we should be looking to build out our lineups for that night's slate. All my NBA content is posted Monday through Friday on Patreon, and then on the weekends, I do have NFL content going up for the NFL slate. I'll have stuff going up Thursday, Friday, and Saturday morning for the wild card slate this weekend. And then for divisional round, I'll have content there. For the 2-game conference championship slate, I'll have content for that as well. So much stuff going up on Patreon. If you've enjoyed these YouTube videos, if the YouTube videos have really helped you this season, then definitely check out some of the stuff I have to offer over on Patreon. Definitely would appreciate it. But good luck tonight, guys. If you enjoyed the video, drop a like, subscribe to the channel. Click that notification bell. You can follow me on Twitter as well. Link down below at DFS by Noah. But yeah, good luck. See you in the next video. Have a happy new year. Peace.